Something unprecedented is happening in professional basketball right now. And for once, it has nothing to do with a missed shot, a bad call, or a blown lead. This panic is coming from the executive offices because one rookie just did the one thing the system was never built to handle. She said no. When reports surfaced that Caitlin Clark was either rejecting or quietly stalling a deal rumored to be worth close to $20 million, the entire narrative around the WNBA shifted overnight.
WNBA Finals, and so I'll leave it there. I mean, I'm just obviously disheartened. You know, I'm a human too. I have a family. I have 2 kids who are devastated by these comments, and so all I'll say is just, you know, it's obviously been...
This wasn't just another contract rumor. This wasn't negotiation posturing. This was a direct challenge to how power has always worked in women's basketball, and it sent the league into full damage control mode. For decades, the WNBA has operated on a simple but brutal reality. Salaries were low, opportunities were limited, and the biggest stars had no choice but to play year-round. Europe, China, anywhere that would pay. The league relied on that desperation. It kept players visible, kept storylines alive, and kept the business running. Then, Caitlin Clark arrived and broke the math. By reportedly turning down an offer that would change the life of almost any other athlete, Clark sent a message no rookie was ever supposed to send. This wasn't about greed. It wasn't about ego. It was about control. And suddenly, the league realized they didn't have any. Because you can't threaten someone who doesn't need you. And that's when things started getting uncomfortable. To understand why this decision caused so much chaos, you have to look at what was actually being offered. The rumored deal wasn't just a come-play basketball contract. It was tied to the new unrivaled 3-on-3 league, founded by established WNBA stars. The package being discussed was described as Messi-like, and in sports, that's code for equity, revenue share, and long-term ownership. This wasn't a salary. It was a submission offer. They expected Caitlin Clark to sign quickly, to validate the league, to become the face that unlocked TV deals, sponsorships, and investor confidence. Because without her, Unrivaled is just another startup. With her, it becomes a global product. But Clark didn't rush. She didn't commit. And she didn't explain herself. That silence did more damage than a public rejection ever could. By not signing immediately, Clark stripped the league of its most valuable asset, certainty. Investors need timelines, networks need faces, sponsors need guarantees, and Clark gave them none of that. Instead, she proved something terrifying to the people in charge. Her brand doesn't need their platform. Their platform needs her. And once that reality set in, the panic spread beyond one off-season league. Because now the WNBA itself had a problem. Just months earlier, the league announced a historic media rights deal worth $2.2 billion over 11 years. That number sounded like validation, like growth, like progress. But behind closed doors, everyone knew the truth. That valuation doesn't exist without Caitlin Clark. Networks didn't pay for logos or arenas. They paid for ratings. They paid for storylines. They paid to see number 22 on their screens as often as possible. If Clark chooses rest over relevance, if she disappears for 4 months to recover and train privately, the entire content machine slows down, and that terrifies executives. Because the WNBA's growth strategy depends on constant visibility. They need Clark in headlines year-round. They need her trending. They need her playing. If she decides to step back, even temporarily, the momentum drops, ratings soften, narratives fade. And here's the part no one wants to say out loud. Clark knows that scarcity creates value. She's not desperate for attention. She's already overexposed, which means she can afford to pull back. And when she does, the league feels it immediately. But money was supposed to prevent that. Except money stopped working on Caitlin Clark a long time ago. Before she ever stepped onto a WNBA court, Clark signed a Nike deal reportedly worth around $28 million over 8 years. A signature shoe, incentives, long-term security. That one contract pays her more in a year than most WNBA players will make in a lifetime, which changes everything. Her WNBA salary is barely more than gas money in comparison, a rounding error. And because she's already financially set, the usual pressure tactics don't apply. You can't dangle a bonus in front of someone who can buy the building. That's what frustrates the establishment. Money is usually the leash. Do this appearance, play this league, promote this product. But Clark doesn't need to say yes to survive. She can make decisions based on what she wants, not what she needs. And right now, it looks like what she wants is space. There's also a much more personal reason behind that choice. Her rookie season wasn't just intense, it was punishing. From blindside hits to non-stop physical play, Clark took more contact than almost any other player. Fans begged the league to step in. Analysts called for protection, but the response was always the same. Welcome to the league. No suspensions, minimal accountability, a clear message, handle it yourself. So why would she sign up for more? Why would she jump into another league, face the same players, take the same hits, and risk injury after already playing non-stop basketball for nearly 18 months? By stepping away, Clark is doing what the league refused to do, protecting herself. And that decision has ripple effects far beyond her own career. Imagine being a veteran who carried this league for a decade, MVPs, championships, years of grinding overseas. And then a rookie shows up and casually turns down millions. Not because she can't get it, but because she doesn't need it. That creates tension. There's respect, sure, but there's also resentment. Because Unrivaled isn't just about exposure. It's about increasing player salaries across the board. If Clark doesn't play, the league makes less money. And if the league makes less money, everyone else feels it. Her absence hits pockets, which fuels bitterness, which fuels on-court hostility, which feeds the very cycle that pushed her away in the first place. And the commissioner sees this boiling over, because now the league isn't just dealing with contracts, it's dealing with culture. This is where the idea of quiet quitting comes in. In the corporate world, quiet quitting means doing exactly what your job requires and nothing more. No extra hours, no unpaid labor, no emotional investment, and that's exactly what Caitlin Clark appears to be doing. She shows up, she performs, she meets her obligations, and then she leaves. No off-season grind, no extra leagues, no constant evangelizing. That terrifies the WNBA because their business model has always relied on players doing more than they're paid for. Promoting the league, carrying storylines, becoming walking marketing campaigns. Clark doesn't need to do that. She is the marketing. And by pulling back, she's forcing the league to offer something more valuable than money. Better travel, better security, better officiating, actual partnership. Her silence is leverage. And nowhere is that more obvious than in the Unrivaled situation. Every investor who backed that league assumed Clark would be the centerpiece. Her absence destabilizes the entire valuation. It puts founders in a tough spot. Launch without the biggest draw in the sport or delay and bleed momentum. It also highlights something deeper. Clark isn't part of the old inner circle. She didn't come up through the traditional pipelines. She isn't tied to legacy power structures. She's an outsider, and outsiders are unpredictable. The WNBA hates unpredictability. They want controlled narratives, planned rollouts, coordinated moments. Clark refuses to follow the script. That resistance likely hardened after one very public moment. When leadership failed to clearly condemn the hate and vitriol directed at her, it sent a message. Ratings mattered more than protection. Storylines mattered more than safety. Trust was broken. Why would she do the league any favors after that? Why rush to help their partners when they wouldn't stand up for her? Seen through that lens, the rejected deal isn't defiance, it's self-management. Critics say she's wasting her moment, that she should strike while the iron is hot. But Clark's team understands something the league doesn't. Burnout is real. Push stars too hard, too fast, and they flame out. Clark wants longevity. 15 years, not 5. One bad injury in a meaningless January game could derail everything. So she's playing the long game, and that leaves the league in an impossible position. Executives are frustrated, veterans are uneasy, investors are nervous, and Caitlin Clark is resting, training, and getting stronger. This standoff defines the offseason. It proves that the era of players being pawns is ending. If the WNBA wants to move forward, they can't throw money at the problem. They have to fix the environment, the travel, the officiating, the culture. They have to treat Clark as a partner, not a product. Until then, she has every reason to stay home. Because when a player can't be bought, she can't be controlled. And that's what truly scares the league. Caitlin Clark didn't walk away from $20 million. She walked toward freedom. And that may be the most powerful move the WNBA has ever seen.